Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well and welcome to another episode of Building Accurate Habitats in Jurassic World Evolution 2. In this episode, I will be talking about the Carcharodontosaurus, a massive carnivore that was once believed to be bigger than the largest discovered theropods like the Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus, and Tyrannosaurus rex. This enormous dinosaur needed this large frame to compete with other large carnivores living in the same environment, as well as to take down theropods that reached lengths of just over 100 feet. This episode, we will learn some fascinating things about one of the largest theropods to ever walk the earth, and then attempt to recreate its environment in an enclosure. So let's jump right in and start getting to know this large carnivore whose excavated teeth were so sharp and serrated that they look almost identical to the teeth of the great white shark of today. So much so that the very name Carcharodontosaurus means sharp-toothed lizard. For those who like to skip ahead, I provided some timestamps for you to click. For everyone else, let's begin. Carcharodontosaurus comes from the genus of large Carcharodontosaurid theropod dinosaurs that existed during the late Cretaceous in North Africa, around 90 to 100 million years ago. Its elongated snout and its assortment of spikes located along its back and head made it unique among some dinosaurs. This fearsome predator was closely related to Acrocanthosaurus and Giganotosaurus. Giganotosaurus in particular shared quite a close relation with Carcharodontosaurus, with a similar shape, size, and diet. These two dinosaurs were primarily separated by the ocean between Africa and South America. In comparison with the Giganotosaurus, the Carcharodontosaurus had a narrower profile with a snout that tapered to a point. The two currently Carcharodontosaurus species, C. saharicus and C. equidensis, are some of the biggest theropods ever measured by paleontologists. The length estimates for the species C. saharicus range between 39 and 45 feet, and its weight estimated between 6 and 8 tons. Due to its limited fossil remains, Carcharodontosaurus is one of those dinosaurs whose length and weight is difficult to estimate. Years ago, paleontologists played with the idea that this theropod was as big or bigger than Spinosaurus or Tyrannosaurus rex. But today, most modern estimates put the Carcharodontosaurus at 35 or so feet long and weighing about 5 tons, a couple of tons less than the biggest Tyrannosaurus rex specimen. Because of its great size, Carcharodontosaurus is often falsely dubbed the African T-Rex, something which has misled many people into thinking that they were closely related. In reality, though, the only similarities that they share were that they were both dinosaurs, carnivores, and theropods. The difference between the Carcharodontosaurus and Tyrannosaurus rex is immediately clear just by looking at their teeth. Carcharodontosaurus has flattened teeth that slice through flesh. Tyrannosaurus, in contrast, has round conical teeth, perfect for crushing bone. Including other differences such as the size and shape of their skull and overall body proportions, it is clear that the two are completely unrelated. As Carcharodontosaurus were carnivores, they had enormous jaws filled with rows of 6-inch long serrated teeth. So unique were these teeth that this dinosaur is named after the shark genus Carcharodon, with the great white shark being its last extant member of the genus. The name Carcharodontosaurus itself is composed of the Greek word karka, meaning jagged or sharp, followed by odon, meaning teeth, and then finally the suffix saurus, meaning lizard, giving us the name shark-toothed lizard. These teeth and jaws were contained in a large skull that's been measured to be over 5 feet in length. Despite the overall size of their jaws, Carcharodontosaurus had relatively weak jaws, with a bite force estimated at 3,000 pounds per square inch. It is a rather large number and is indeed very powerful, but in comparison to other large theropods like Tyrannosaurus rex, with a bite force of 12,800 psi, and Spinosaurus's bite force of 4,200 psi, this number is on the lower end of the scale. However, this comparison doesn't negate the ability of Carcharodontosaurus as an apex killing machine. Nevertheless, it is by great luck that we know about this dinosaur at all, considering how few of its fossils paleontologists have discovered, and the first one that were found would be eventually destroyed during a World War II air raid. In 1924, two teeth were found in the shallow marine continental wedge of Algeria. These fossils demonstrated some unique characteristics. A year later, in 1925, these same teeth were described by the research team de Perret and Savernine as representing a type of Megalosaurus dinosaur, and so it was renamed Megalosaurus saharicus. Some years later, Renowned paleontologist Ernst Stromer described the remains of a partial skull and skeleton found in the Bahariya Formation of Egypt. These remains were originally excavated in 1914 and consisted of partial remains of skull, teeth, vertebrae, claw bones, and some hip and leg bones. The teeth in this new finding matched the characteristics of those described by Dupere and Savarnin, which led to Stromer conserving the species name Saharicus, but finding it necessary to erect a new genus for the species. He chose Carcharodontosaurus, named after Carcharodon, great white shark, due to the similar sharp and serrated teeth that they both possessed. About 30 years later, these fossils described by Stromer and many others were destroyed on the night of April 24, 1944. In World War II, a Royal Air Force bombing raid destroyed Munich's Paleontological Museum and left the entire city in ruins. This air raid was also responsible for the destruction of other unique fossils, such as the first Spinosaurus remains and the skull of the giant crocodile Stomatosuchus. The war cost Stromer much more than his fossils, though. Two of his sons died serving in the German army, while the third spent years as a prisoner of war for the Soviets after the war. It was not until half a century later that the new Carcharodontosaurus fossils will be discovered. A more complete skull was found in the Kem River Delta group of Morocco during an expedition led by paleontologist Paul Sereno in 1995, near the Algerian border and the location where the teeth described by Deperet and Savarnin were found. The teeth that were discovered with the new skull matched those described by Deperet and Savarnin. Additionally, the rest of the skull also matched the descriptions written by Stromer. For a good amount of time, paleontologists believed that Carcharodontosaurus had the longest skull of any theropod dinosaur. However, the premaxilla and quadrate bones were missing from the original African skull, which led to misinterpretation of its actual size by researchers. Recently, a more modest length of 5 feet 3 inches has been proposed, making it the third largest skull of all theropods. With that being said, the honor of the largest theropod skull now belongs to Giganotosaurus, followed closely by Tyrannosaurus rex. A study by Donald Henderson, the curator of dinosaurs at the Royal Tyrrell Museum, suggests that Carcharodontosaurus was able to lift animals weighing a maximum of 935 pounds in its jaws based on the strength of its jaws, neck, and its center of mass. But as mentioned earlier, these jaws were nothing compared to the jaws of T. rex or Giganotosaurus. Other studies highlighted the Carcharodontosaurus' long muscular legs and fossilized trackways indicate that it could have reached speeds up to 20 miles per hour, although there is great debate on whether it actually did reach that top speed. A recent study in 2016 by research team Molina Pers and Iarramendi tried to put an end to the Carcharodontosaurus length debate question. Their published research gave Carcharodontosaurus a length of 42 feet and weighing 8 metric tons for the C. saharicus species, and a length of 36 feet and weight of 5 tons for C. equidensis. While it didn't end the main question amongst paleontologists, it gets us closer to finding out its true size. What paleontologists do agree on is that their giant size made them one of the apex predators of the region. Now that we have some knowledge on Carcharodontosaurus, let's talk about the environment which it lived in to give us a better idea what its enclosure would look like. As mentioned earlier, Carcharodontosaurus lived in the northern part of Africa around the Kem River Delta region from around 105 to 90 million years ago. South America had likely just broken apart from Africa during this time, and it's probably why Carcharodontosaurus and its relatives from South America are so alike in appearance. Although dry and barren now, the region in which Carcharodontosaurus was found was likely very lush and full of life, including several rainforests. This lush environment was likely very warm and humid, with bodies of water not too far from sight. The elevation was flat, and there were many marshes, lakes, rivers, and plains around. Carcharodontosaurus was probably very territorial, it had large areas of territory, and would likely have to fight for or against rivals and other huge predators in the area. Carcharodontosaurus remains have been found within hunting proximity of these other large theropods. But how did these apex predators manage to coexist with each other? Big predators needed big hunting ranges, making competition for the best hunting grounds intense. While it's very likely that these theropods fought with each other over territory, they each also had very different teeth structures. Because of this, it's thought that each dinosaur fulfilled unique ecological niche, meaning that there would be less rivalry for food. Carcharodontosaurus was one of the last and largest of the theropod dinosaurs, but ultimately this apex predator was destined for extinction. Around 95 million years ago, the climate began to rise and so did global sea levels. The extensive hunting grounds that Carcharodontosaurus thrived in gradually were lost. With this loss, Carcharodontosaurus' large frame became a vulnerability. Unable to sustain itself, one of the largest predators ever known to walk the earth vanished. Hey guys, welcome back to the park. As you can see, I've made some small improvements. We have a Brachiosaurus enclosure to the left that we worked on a while ago. And our most recent one was our Camarasaurus. I'll be adding the ones that I've done videos for soon. But in the meantime, just these guys. As you can see, I've already started to do a path to our new part of the park, which is going to have our Carcharodontosaurus, along with another little visitor that we have here, Spinosaurus. We're going to be adding this guy just because every article that I read on Carcharodontosaurus always mentioned just the close proximity in which they lived in with Spinosaurus. So we're going to add them. And we're going to kind of combine their habitats, which they both shared. So it's part of Carcharodontosaurus enclosure as well. So we're going to do a mangrove slash floodplains environment to this. So to do these mangroves, which are pretty much brush shrubs and plants that lived in brackish or fresh water as well. So our backdrop is gonna be that, just like the mangrove. So and it's gonna work perfectly because it's gonna block out all the buildings and it's gonna work both ways. So we'll wait till that other dinosaur is gone, which he has not yet gone. Where are you at, mate? Alright, while that happens, we'll add our forest, which are going to be our mangroves. And that's hopefully not yet. Oh wow, they really want him to leave. Alright, we'll keep adding these guys over here. And I guess we can leave it like that if these Carcharodontosaurus don't want me to. Okay, looks like he's gone. Am I not adding this right? What's going on? Terrain constraints. I wonder why that is. Well, we'll leave it like that. One little thing we are going to do though is add just a small little river here. Everything else is going to be plains, but we kind of want just one little river leading here to a little fat lake. That works well. There we go. And now we're just going to slowly eat away at it. We get a nice skinny river. I kind of like that. We're going to leave it like that. We're going to make this a bit wider. After all, it is a lake. Small little lake right there. That's perfect. Like so. Oh, that's way too much. There you go. There we go. Okay. So once we have this water covered, and the mangroves already kind of covered, we just have to worry about ginkgos, cycads, and temskia, which are going to be our ferns. So cycads, not too many. I'm just going to add some around these lakes, and where this Spinosaurus is actually chilling by, it gets a nice little shade there. There we go. Perfect. Not too much ginkgos. We're going to add some over here to conjoin with this for us. Take out those palms and replace those with ginkgos. We'll leave it just like that. That's perfect. And the last thing you want to put is some temskia, which are going to be our ferns. Temskia, there we go. And we kind of want to put this around here where it's kind of better suited for ferns. So we got that going. And there we go. Everything else is going to be kind of filled plain, so we'll just leave it as that. I feel like there's a bit too much foliage, but it's fine. It's fine. It's up to everyone's liking, and I think it's okay. It's kind of encroaching on Spinosaurus territory, so it makes sense. And then some rocks, here and there. Don't add too much. It's already kind of crowded as it is, I kind of feel. But if your place is bigger, then go ahead. I like to put them around in groups, so we'll leave it like that. We'll do one more, like so. We'll add one little feeder here because this is where all the people are watching. I mean, the goat's gonna be running around, so actually it doesn't make sense. But we'll leave it there. And then one cool trick or tip that I saw on Reddit that you can also employ. Well, let's go ahead and do our foliage actually. So let's or ground, I guess. So the ground is going to be a lot of sandstone and a lot of mudstone, I guess you could call it. That's kind of what the habitat in this region was. So we're gonna do a lot of sand, of course, sort of like the Camarasaurus, but it's not gonna be as dark. As you can see, it's kind of got that dark just because they weren't more into like the habitat of this one, which is more humid and better suited for greenery. So now we got that, just a little bit of dirt, not too much. Like I said, you don't want to make it seem like the Camarasaurus. Few clicks here and there and you're good. Put some rocks here for these guys up here. And I think we're done. You know, up to your liking and personal preference, but I think this looks good. This looks like a habitat where this guy, the Carcharodontosaurus, would be living in. And I think he looks pretty satisfied. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear what you guys think. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you out and giving you some ideas on building an enclosure for this guy. If you want to make Carcharodontosaurus feel more at home, you can have some dinosaurs that it coexisted with during its era. You might have to play around with your sandbox options to help with the dinosaur compatibility issues. And as mentioned earlier, Carcharodontosaurus wasn't the only top predator around. Carcharodontosaurus lived at the same time and in the same place as two Spinosaurids, one being the Spinosaurus, the largest of all known terrestrial carnivores, and its lesser known relative, the Sigilmasosaurus. These three probably crossed paths around bodies of water, which was the preferred habitat of these Spinosaurids. It's been theorized by paleontologists that adult Carcharodontosaurus may have been a major predator of young and old Spinosaurus. The balance of powers between Spinosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus, two of the biggest apex predators of the area, was a very delicate one. In 2008, paleontologists discovered a Spinosaurus vertebrae in Morocco, which showed that part of one of its neural spines was broken off with what looked to be bitten in half. Paleontologists theorized that the bite was caused by none other than a Carcharodontosaurus. Another top predator that liked to hang around bodies of water was the giant 30-foot-long crocodilian Sarcosuchus. It's possible that the Sarcosuchus would prey upon unsuspecting Carcharodontosaurus when coming to replenish themselves near large bodies of water. But that's not all. Other top predators include the similarly sized Bahirusaurus, whose few remains were coincidentally discovered by Ernst Strummer as well. Then in 2000, a discovery of a 20-foot abyssosaurid theropod named Rugops in Niger marked a special breakthrough in the understanding of the evolution of theropods in the area, demonstrating that the landmass was still united with Gondwana at that point in time. Carcharodontosaurus and the rest of these carnivores would have preyed upon iguanodont dinosaurs such as a 27-foot-long Uranosaurus and Titanosaurus sauropods such as a Paralitidon and Egyptosaurus. Although cooperative hunting is difficult to prove, it is theorized that Carcharodontosaurus may have hunted in packs. Their knife-like teeth with serrated edges could slice through the tough hide of these giant sauropods. A bite from a Carcharodontosaurus would cause extensive bleeding and leave toxic bacteria in the wound. A pack may have been able to attack and by delivering slashing toxic wounds, weaken and eventually bring down even the largest of sauropods. Nevertheless, the evidence of infighting between carnivores of the same species is dramatic. Fossils have uncovered injuries on the skull bones of many large carnivores. Tooth marks and gouges are remarkably common. Such violent head and face biting is thought to be likely territorial. These are all the major dinosaurs that lived with Carcharodontosaurus all those millions of years ago. I of course didn't list all of them. Let me know which ones I missed. Hopefully, expeditions will allow paleontologists to uncover more species. Carcharodontosaurus has had very prominent appearances in the Jurassic Park video game franchise, featuring initially in the 1997 Warpath Jurassic Park. It was also made available in Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, with the unfortunate mistake of having its name misspelled as Carcharodontosaurus. Carcharodontosaurus is also featured in the DVD game Jurassic Park Explorer, as well as being part of Jurassic World Evolution. While it features regularly in the video game franchise, Carcharodontosaurus has not made an appearance or has been referred to in the Jurassic Park film franchise. One of its closest relatives, though, the Giganotosaurus, is set to be featured in the upcoming film Jurassic World Dominion as the main villain of the movie, with director Colin Trevorrow describing the Giganotosaurus as the Joker. It seems Jurassic World Dominion is a culmination of the franchise. There has been no word out yet on any sort of continuation of this franchise, so it seems that Giganotosaurus is the closest that we will get to seeing the Carcharodontosaurus on the big screen. Though it did make the big screen in the famous BBC Earth Planet Dinosaur, which shows the logical scenario as a Carcharodontosaurus being both an active predator and scavenger. One such case is when a hungry Carcharodontosaurus has to scavenge from the dead remains of a Rhinoceros, as is shown in the documentary. This monstrous apex predator, whose name is based off the great white shark, is a beautiful, deadly addition to your Jurassic Park. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.